All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? We are live. We got 4 games to talk about. Let's do it. As always, we'll go over what we know so far. We can go over the over-unders and the spreads. We can get to the players and their prices, who I'm targeting, and then we can get to questions at the end. Yeah, it's a smaller slate, right? 4 games, so don't go crazy, but still a decent slate. I do have a couple strong stands, but yeah, let's go over what we know, right? Bazemore going to remain in the starting lineup. I think he's a viable option there at 5K. Bam, I think, just got ruled in at 8.2. I know he's priced up, but again, it's a really good spot for him. Let's see, Josh Richardson is probable. Honestly, doesn't do a whole lot for me, right? If you guys watched my video, I'm very, very anti-Denver and Philly, which I think a lot of people are. I don't think that's a really contrarian take. It's just two really good defenses, two slow-paced teams. I don't have a whole lot of interest in that game. The Knicks announced their same starting lineup of Ntilikina, Barrett, Morris, Randall, and Gibson. So this is where I might kind of be a little bit contrarian. I like the Knicks a lot today. I just think that a lot of the guys are too cheap. The big three mainly there with R.J. Barrett, Marcus Morris, and Julius Randle. I have interest in all three of those guys a good amount, right? Julius Randle was the thumbnail to my video for a reason. I love Randle. I think Morris and Barrett are pretty solid plays. And even a guy like Bobby Portis off the bench as a value play. I think this slate definitely lacks some good value plays, right? And at 3.5K, we know Bobby Portis is a guy that can get you there in limited time. So again, I do have a lot of interest there in the Knicks. I think that's a little contrarian, I guess. Let's see, what else do we got? Marvin Williams got rolled out, kind of expected that. I think he was doubtful going into the day. Derrick Jones Jr., questionable. I think he's going to be good to go. He's a guy you can consider as a really, really cheap option. Not a super high usage guy, but he's really cheap. And then a lot of this stuff is for Wednesday. Let's see, again, Derrick Jones Jr. will play. Josh Richardson will be on a minutes limit. So don't think we can go there, really. Again, I'm just not super excited about that game in general. But yeah, let's look at the over-unders and the spreads that are out right now. I think I got to refresh this from earlier today, or from last night, I should say. Let's see. Okay, so first game of the night, Washington-Charlotte, right? I have a good amount of interest in this game. It's just going to be the fastest-paced game, definitely. Sitting at 229.5, 2-point spread. Two bad teams that don't play a whole lot of defense. So there are a good amount of intriguing plays here in this game. Hawks Heat at 218.5. The Heat are favored by 8.5, so there's a little bit of blowout risk in this one. The Atlanta side, honestly, not a whole lot I'm interested in. The Miami side, there's a good amount to like here with no Winslow, with no Dragic still. Denver, Philly, again, kind of a fade for me, a full-on fade. 208.5 with Philly a 6-point favorite. Again, I don't really think that's a contrarian take, but I don't have a whole lot of interest in that game. And the late-night hammer here, Knicks, Blazers, I do have some interest in this game. Again, I like a lot of the Knicks, a couple of the Trailblazers. It's setting at 223 with the Trailblazers favored by 9. Again, there is a little bit of blowout risk in this one. I'm just hoping the Knicks can keep it close. Again, I am kind of banking on those New York Knicks. They are all underpriced, those big three, at least in my opinion. But let's go team by team here. So we'll start with Washington and Charlotte. On the Washington side, Beal at the top. So I think the two most popular spend-ups today are going to be Brad Beal and Jimmy Butler. And I have no opposition to that. I think both those guys seem like good spend-ups. We know Beal's going to play huge minutes. We know Jimmy Butler's going to play huge minutes. They're both in good spots. It's a really close call for me if I'm picking between Beal and Butler. I think I would slightly lean towards Beal just because I think Jimmy Butler's ownership might be a little bit higher because of recency bias for Brad Beal. He had a bad game the last time out. But we know he can get us 50, even 60 fantasy points, and this is a really good spot. So Beal and Butler, again, I think those guys can be the most popular spend-ups. I have no issue if you want to go with both those guys. If you're going to pick between the two, I'm going to give the edge to Brad Beal slightly because I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned. And again, I'm kind of talking in GPP language, I guess. It's a small slate, so I'm not really playing cash games, kind of sticking to tournaments. So ownership does matter for me for this short slate. Then the next tier of guys with Rui, Bertans, and Mo Wagner. I think all those guys are in play. Just no one really stands out as a great play for me with these guys. We know Rui's going to play big minutes. Bertans, he'll play over 30. Mo Wagner, a bit up and down. But, if he's playing well, maybe they give him 30 minutes or so. So all three of these guys, I think, are fairly, are definitely in play. They don't stand out as a great plays to me. So no issue if you want to go Rui, no issue if you want to go Bertans, no issue if you want to go Mo. I'm personally not going to be going there, but I think they stand out as decent plays. And I think one of those guys will probably have a pretty big game, but trying to tell which one it is a little bit hard. So yeah, all three of these guys, it's a good spot, right? I have no issue if you want to go with those guys. So that's kind of my thoughts with those forwards. Ish Smith, I think, is a pretty safe option here at 5.2K. 34, 33, and 31 minutes with those games and no Isaiah. In a close game, I think he gets over 30 again. He's not a super, super high usage guy, but I think he probably gets you 25 to 35. And at 5.2, again, I think he's a little bit underpriced. So he stands out as a pretty decent play there. Troy Brown is a risky play. It just because the minutes are all over the place, 21, 18, 24, 35. I need to see him play those minutes consistently before I can target him confidently. Now, you can take a shot here for GPPs and just hope he plays those 35 minutes, because if he does, I think he can get you there. But I just don't think those minutes are necessarily secure, so I'm a little bit worried about him. Maybe the ownership goes up a bit because of that good game that last time out. So I'm probably going to fade Troy Brown. Again, I need to see him play those minutes more consistently. As far as the really cheap guys here, I don't really have Anderson Bonga. Mahimi, you could take a shot again. The slate does lack a lot of good value plays. There's just very, very little really cheap price guys that are in play, in my opinion. So Mahimi probably gets around 15, maybe 20 on the high end. I think he's okay, but again, you're not going to feel great about it. And that's kind of what I got here for Washington. So definitely my favorite play at the top here is Beal. I think Rui, Bertans, and Mo all stand out as decent plays. No one stands out as a great play, in my opinion. I think one of those guys probably will have a pretty big game. Ish Smith, I think he's a pretty safe option there at that price. Troy Brown, I'll probably fade just because the minutes are a bit inconsistent. Mahimi, you can consider him as a cheap play, but don't feel great about it. And that's kind of what I got here for Washington. On the Charlotte side, so I think the guards are going to go a bit low owned tonight. I think Devontae Graham and Rozier's prices are up, right? No doubt. We are paying a premium for both these guys to be playing. But if you take ownership into consideration, again, I think everyone plays Beal. I think everyone plays Jimmy Butler. Not saying those guys are bad plays, but I think Devontae Graham and Rozier fly under the radar here and go significantly lower owned. So Graham at 8.4K. The good thing about Graham and Rozier is we know they're going to play big minutes. And you cannot get a better spot here than Washington. So that's why I don't mind paying a premium for these guys. Graham, 35 minutes in a close game. Again, you can't get a better spot. Same thing with Rozier. I know his price is up, but he has had upside games, right? He's had 50 fantasy points a few times this season. This is a really good spot. So again, Graham, Rozier, I know their prices are up, but I don't mind paying a premium for them. And I think they go lower owned to guys like Beal and Jimmy Butler. Now, Beal and Jimmy Butler, I think, are a bit safer. If you're playing cash games, maybe you just go Beal and Jimmy Butler and go from there. But if your guys playing tournaments like me on this small slate, you maybe take a little bit of risk. So Graham and Rozier, I'm definitely considering those guys up top. As far as the secondary pieces, I think one or two of these guys are going to have a pretty big game, but to tell which one it is, it's kind of tricky, right? Miles Bridges is a very risky option just because the minutes are all over the place, 25, 19, 22, then 38. So if he hits that high end, right, like the mid-30s minutes, I would like him, but I don't know if those minutes are secure. A guy like PJ Washington actually has played pretty consistent minutes the last 3 games, 33, 35, 33. Not a super, super high usage guy. The price is up. I think he's kind of in that range of Rui, Bertans, and Mo Wagner, right? I don't think they're amazing plays, but I wouldn't mind if you get there. So, yeah, PJ's okay, right? He's been playing consistent minutes. We got no Marvin Williams, right? So there is minutes to go around here. MKG picked up those minutes off the bench last time. He played 23 minutes, right? The ghost of MKG. Now, these fringe bench guys are a little bit risky to target, right? Because Batum was a guy that played 33 minutes that game against Brooklyn and then got a DNP CD the last game. So, yeah, these fringe end of the bench guys, I think one of these guys could have a pretty big game, but I think there's a chance one of those guys get a DNP CD, right? So you could target MKG. I don't necessarily think he's a lock to even play, right? Kind of the same thing with Batum. He did not play that last game. He was a healthy scratch. So it's a good spot for these guys, but there's a chance they might not even play. So if you are willing to take that shot, then go ahead. But just know the risk of potentially Batum or MKG, one of those guys not playing. Bacon, Monk, they're playing pretty limited minutes, right? Like around 15 or so. They are cheap and it's a good spot. I'm not going to feel great about it just because I haven't seen them play enough minutes. I got like Biyombo at 3.8K, might get a little extra run if no Marvin Williams, but I think if I was going to take a shot at one of the cheap bigs, I think it would be Cody Zeller for a little bit more. If he gets like 25 minutes, then I think he can definitely get shared at that price. So I think Cody Zeller would be the one cheap guy on Charlotte that I think I have the most confidence in. Again, he's not going to play huge minutes, but if he gets like 25 or so at that price, I do have some interest. And that's kind of what I got. Again, Bridges, way up and down. You could go there for GPPs. Just hope he hits that high end of the minutes range. But again, recapping this, it's Graham and Rozier at the top. I think those guys go lower owned in tournaments compared to Beal and Jimmy Butler. As far as the cheap guys, again, PJ Washington is kind of in that range of Rui, of Bertans, and Mo Wagner. I think they're fine plays, not super high on them, but I think one of those guys is probably going to have a pretty solid game. Bridges, very, very up and down. He's a risky option. Cody Zeller, of these cheap guys, is probably my preferred target at 4.6K. Again, you could take a shot on like Batum or MKG and hope they get like 25 minutes. Again, there's a chance maybe they get a DNP CD. So that's kind of my thoughts here with the the Charlotte guys. Atlanta, Miami, let's move on. Honestly, Atlanta is in the range of the Denver-Philly game where it's a complete fade for me. Trae Young at 10.4 is a really, really contrarian option. You could do it. It's just not for me on this slate. I just like spots a lot better in other games for cheaper prices. So Trae Young, I am a Trae Young guy at 10.4K against Miami in a tough spot. He's priced up. I just can't do it on this slate. The secondary pieces, Jabari is okay, but all the wings are healthy, right? I think DeAndre Hunter is probable. Yeah, so literally everyone's healthy. Reddish, Hunter, Herter, Bembry, Turner, Crabbe, Vince Carter, even Parsons. They have so many guys they'll use that it's a complete fade in a bad spot. I really think you kind of just cross off Miami and move on. Or cross off Atlanta, I should say. I do like Miami here. So Miami, there's a good amount to like here. We got no Goran Dragic. We have no Justice Winslow. So there are a lot of minutes to go around. Jimmy Butler at the top at 9.1. I know he's pricey, but he's just been playing huge minutes. He's been great, filling up the stat sheet. So yeah, I think Jimmy Butler and Beal are going to be the most popular spend ups. For cash games, you probably go there. For GPPs, again, I think there are ways around it, right? Those Charlotte guards, I think, go a bit lower owned. But Jimmy, literally have no issue with him. If the game stays close, he probably gets close to 40 minutes. The one concern with him is the potential blowout, right? I think it's a 8.5 point spread. So there is a little bit of worry with that. But at 9.1K, I think he stands out as a pretty solid option there. Bam at a buyout at 8.2, another guy you are kind of paying a premium for, but it's a pretty good spot. Now, he is going to play, but the groin injury does worry me a little bit, right? Playing through that injury. The thing with him is, though, it's just the minutes, 37, 38, 37, 41. They're shorthanded, so Bam and Jimmy at the top. Again, I have no issue with those guys at all. So no Justice Winslow, no Goran Dragic. Those minutes have to go somewhere. A guy like Tyler Hero at 5.9 has been picking up a lot of those minutes. 32 and 41 minutes last couple games, 38 and 42 fantasy points. And this is an up-tempo game. I know the price is up, but I think he's going to have to play big minutes once again. So I do have a good amount of interest there in Hero. Kendrick Nunn, if you want a lower-owned option, right? I think a lot of people are going to go to Hero. But I still think Nunn is a pretty solid option, too. Again, he's probably going to get around 35 minutes or so in a close game, up-tempo game. He has flash upside, too. And I think he goes a lot lower owned. So these guys in the mid-tier with Hero and Nunn, I still have a good amount of interest in those guys. Duncan Robinson, a little torn here. The minutes have been a bit up and down, right? 27, 29, 42, 32. The thing with him is he's pretty scoring dependent. So if his shot's not falling, if he's not knocking down threes, he can hurt you. But if he's having like a hot shooting night, they'll leave him in there and he could get you like 35 or so. So he's a risky option. I don't feel great about it just because he is scoring dependent. Kelly O is a guy I do have some interest in here at 4.1K. He's another guy, the minutes have been all over the place, but they're really shorthanded. 35, 28, 17, 25 minutes. He's had bad games in back-to-back games. I think that lowers the ownership. The prices come down to 4.1K, and this slate doesn't have a whole lot of value plays, right? So Kelly Olynyk is actually a guy I do have some interest here at this price, just because on this slate, there's really not a whole lot of great value plays. So I am considering him there at 4.1. You could look to a guy like Derrick Jones Jr. at 3.6. He is going to play, right? He's played 27 and 26 minutes the last couple games, 19 and 9 fantasy points. He is not a super high usage guy, but I think if he gets 25 minutes like he's been getting, he stands out as a decent value play. So I do have some interest still in Derrick Jones Jr. there at 3.6. Deion Waiters, don't think he's going to play. He even got rolled out, so don't even have to consider him. Myers Leonard, not seeing enough run for me to consider him there, even at like minimum price. So that's kind of what I got here from Miami. It's Jimmy Butler and Bam at the top. It's Hero and Kendrick Nunn in the mid tier, and then it's the cheap guys like Kelly O and Derrick Jones Jr. They're pretty short-handed, right? So Miami, I do have a good amount of interest here for the Miami Heat. As far as Denver Philly, it's honestly, we can save time and move on. It's two really good defensive teams, two teams that play at a slow pace. Just no one stands out to me. If you want to get really contrarian in tournaments, you can target some of these guys, right? Like Jokic, Embiid, maybe, and just kind of hope the game somehow gets played at a faster pace, or maybe goes to overtime, right? Like Will Barton seems a little bit too cheap, but all in all, it's complete fade for me at least. On the Philadelphia side, kind of the same thing. We got Josh Richardson now back in the mix. He's not a super high usage guy, but he's going to play a decent amount of minutes. Horford, Tobias are okay. Embiid is, again, I don't mind the price, but it's a really tough spot. There's some foul trouble risk too with Embiid going up against Jokic. The one guy I would consider here is Ben Simmons, just because the minutes have been so secure. The game against Cleveland obviously blew out, so only played 26 minutes, but 34, 36, 39 minutes. He fills up the stat sheet. So he would be the one guy I would consider, but still, honestly, again, you guys know I'm a one lineup guy. I'm just completely fading this game. He would be the one guy I would consider, but I'm still not even doing it. And that's really what I got here for Denver and Philly. As far as the Knicks and Portland, so this is where I might go a little bit contrarian to a lot of people tonight. I like a lot of the Knicks. They're cheap, right? Randall 6.4, RJ Barrett 5.5, and Marcus Morris 5.3. We know in close games, these guys will get mid-30s minutes, right? We saw it against the Pacers, 35 minutes, 38 fantasy points. And this is just a great matchup personally for Julius Randle. Going to be going up against Carmelo Anthony. So I love Randle today. He's one of my favorite plays at this price. There is some blowout risk, right, with Portland blowing out the Knicks. The Knicks have just been terrible. But if this game stays close, I think Randle, Barrett, and Morris, probably two of those three, maybe even three, all get you there. So these guys are all too cheap in my opinion. It's a pace-up spot, so I like Randle a lot there. Mitchell Robinson, it's just too boomer bust for me. He's the guy that's always in foul trouble. You could go there for GPPs. He's priced up, though. Again, I just prefer Randle. I prefer Morris. I prefer Barrett in that price range. So Mitchell Robinson, not really for me. RJ Barrett here at 5.5K is, I definitely have some interest here, right? He's going to play mid-30s minutes in a close game. Now the question is, can the Knicks keep it close? Well, if the Knicks get blown out, I'm probably going to lose. It's just simple as that. But if the Knicks keep this game close, I think a couple of those big three, maybe all three get you there, because they will get mid-30s minutes in a close game, barring foul trouble. So RJ Barrett I like. Marcus Morris I like at 5.3. Again, we know these guys will get those minutes in a close game. They're all too cheap. Randle, Barrett, Morris are all too cheap. I have interest a lot in all three of those guys. My favorite being Julius Randle, but no issue with Barrett, no issue with Marcus Morris. As far as the point guards go, complete cross-off here with Alfred Payton, Ntilikina, and Dennis Smith Jr. They split it three ways. It's just not for me. You could take a shot if you're making multiple lineups in one of these guys, but you can't feel great about that. As far as the cheap guys, don't have a whole lot of interest in Taj Gibson. I do have some interest in Bobby Portis off the bench at 3.5K. He's a guy that'll get, probably 18 to 25 minutes, somewhere in that range. And we know this guy is, he can be pretty productive when he gets the minutes. Now, he's been bad recently, I know that, 20, 16, 16, 14. But this slate lacks value plays. If he's getting hot, maybe they extend him a little bit, into the mid-20s minutes. So he's a value guy I'm definitely considering here at this price. And then really that's it. Again, the point guards is a fade. I don't want to go with Dotson or Knox here. So that's kind of my thoughts of the Knicks. Again, I'm kind of taking a stand here and hoping the Knicks can keep it close. So I love the big three here with Randall, Barrett, and Morris. I think all three are too cheap. And then Bobby Portis is a cheap option on a slate that lacks value plays. As far as the Portland side goes, so I do have some interest here in the main guys, mainly the starters here with Lillard, Whiteside, CJ, Carmelo, and Bazemore. So Lillard at 8.8K. The thing with him and CJ too is they're also like those Charlotte guards. We know they're going to play big minutes in a close game. I think close to 40 if this game stays close. Lillard has not flashed as much upside as he did last season, just because he's playing up around a little bit higher usage guys, right? Like Carmelo's taking a lot of shots. Whiteside's been pretty productive. Again, they have CJ. So Lillard at 8.8K I think is perfectly fine here. No issue with there. Whiteside I do like a good amount at this price, just because the minutes the last three games, 34, 32, and 32 minutes. He's a guy that's, when given the time, he can be really productive. Like the reason, like last year, 2 years ago, he was not a great fantasy player was just because Spoelstra would never give him the minutes. They would close the BAM. He would never get any fourth quarter run. Here with the Portland, he is literally getting like 30 minutes almost every single night. And this is a pretty good spot against the Knicks, who run big. So I think Whiteside probably gets over 30 minutes once again. I know his price is up, but I still like him a good amount here at that price. CJ at 7.1 I think goes a lot lower owned. Have no issue if you want to go there. I think he stands out as a safe option. We know CJ does have those big upside games every once in a while, right? Every 1 in 5 games, I want to say CJ has a big upside game, right? He had that 68 against Milwaukee. He had 55 there against the Kings. So he will, turn it on every once in a while, but most of the time he's probably going to get you around 30 to 35-ish fantasy points. So I think he's a safe option. We'll get, again, big minutes in a close game. Carmelo. Yeah, I have some interest here in Melo. It's a revenge game. He's been getting consistent minutes, 36, 35, 35. He's been shooting the ball a bunch, 16, 13, and 18 times. Maybe he wants to put on a show for those home or for the Knicks. I guess I should say, it's at Portland, so it's not, at New York. But still, 35 minutes or so. It's 5.6K. I think he's definitely in play there. Bazemore at 5K got 36 minutes with no Rodney Hood. So he's a value guy you can consider. I don't have a great feel. He's kind of in that range, again, of like those Rui, Bertans, Mo, PJ Washington kind of players where I don't have an issue if you want to go there, but they don't stand out as great plays. And as far as the really cheap guys, Simons, you could go there at 3.6K. I think he gets a little bit more run, again, with no Rodney Hood. He got 23 the last time out. The slate really lacks value play, so he's someone you can consider. If the game blows out, he will get a little extra run. And that's kind of what I got. So, again, brief overview. We got 15 minutes before lock, but I like the Washington-Charlotte game a good amount. I like the Miami side, and I like the Knicks and the Blazers here. So that's kind of where I'm targeting is the first game, the last game, and then the Miami guys for this short 4-game slate. But let's see if we got any more news. I don't think we're really waiting on a whole lot here. Let's see. Hornets, Graham, Rozier, Bridges, Washington, Biyombo. Wizards will start Smith, Beal, Bonga, Rui, and Mo. Bertans coming out of the bench. Maybe gets a little less run, but still, I think he's viable. And that's kind of what I got. So let's get into some questions here. Let's see. Who was your favorite spend up tonight? I'll go Brad Beal, but I think I'll go Brad Beal. Seems like when I choose Rozier, then Graham goes off. When I choose Graham, Rozier goes off. Hey, I know the feeling, man. It is frustrating for sure. But I think both those guys are going to go lower owned tonight compared to Brad Beal and Jimmy Butler. So it's a really good spot. So I do have some interest in those guys, even at elevated price points. I know it can be tilting sometimes when you play one and the other goes off. Trust me, I know the feeling. Good job last night in the win. Thanks, man. It could have been. I was almost GPP takedown season. I think I was like 10 points away in the $40 single entry from winning it. But all in all, again, I'll take it. People going to play hero and watch Duncan go off. Yeah, so the thing with Duncan Robinson is the minutes have been a bit up and down. But if he's shooting the ball well, and they will extend him. They will give him probably 30 minutes. So he's a little bit scoring dependent, but I think he's an option for GPPs. Butler and Beal fade for GPP balance line. Yeah, for GPP, again, I have no issue. I think if you're playing cash games, you probably go Butler, you probably go Beal. But for GPPs, you can for sure do that. Again, there are definitely other pivots. Who's the main center for the night, bro? So center, it's probably Whiteside. I'm not considering Embiid or Jokic. It's Whiteside, or you could play Julius Randle at the 5 if you want, or one of those really cheap guys with like maybe Cody Zeller, Kelly Olynyk, or Bobby Portis. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now for center. Let's see. Lou Will shit night cost me tickets last night. Yeah, so that's pretty unlucky, honestly. Lou Will shot like I think 2 of 20, something terrible like that. So Lou Will is not a bad play at all. I think that's just one where you got unlucky, and it's tilting for sure. Graham, Nunn, Anthony, Randall, Whiteside, Smith, Bertan, Zeller. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good lineup there. How many bricks can a Melo Nick brick if a Melo? Yeah, so Melo, I mean, he's going to shoot the ball a ton. That for sure. That's what we know for sure. I like Denver for some reason. Made sure to get some Jokic, Barton, and Murray. Yeah, so those guys are going to go super low owned. So I'm not alone in not liking that game, but the ownership is going to be really, really low on those guys. So, if the game goes to overtime, you could be in great shape. So those guys, again, you can go there. Personally, I make one lineup, so I'm just completely fading that. Large field, GPP, Dart, Chioza off Smith. What have his minutes been like? I know he hasn't been playing huge minutes at 3.1. That's one of those darts where if you're making like a lot of lineups, you could go there. But if you're making like 2 or 3, I still wouldn't do it. But if your guy's making like 10 plus lineups, maybe throw him in one. Again, I wouldn't feel great about it. MKG, Julius, or Robinson-ish. Well, it depends how risky you want to get, right? I think there's a chance MKG doesn't even play. But I like the upside a little bit more with MKG, Julius, if MKG is in the rotation. Best 3K utility play, thanks. At the flat minimum, I don't think there's really anyone I was considering. See, Schofield, I don't think he's getting enough run. Yeah. Cody Martin, he's not even in the rotation. I don't think there's anyone in the 3K range. Trier, no. Maybe, Gary Trent, only 7 minutes. What did Herzonia get at the flat min? 8 minutes still. Like, Parsons, 16. But, he got DNP the last few games. Bruno Fernando, I think he's kind of out of the rotation, too. And then, there's literally no one. Maybe James Johnson gets in the rotation, but there's no one at 3K at least that I would play. Portis or Crab, I'm going to go Portis there. Thoughts on the Heat guards? Yeah, so the Heat guards, I do have some interest. I have an interest in a lot of the Miami guys. It's Jimmy at the top. It's Hero and Nunn in the mid-range. You could go Duncan Robinson. He's a little bit more boom or bust. Again, if a shot's not falling, it can hurt you. But I like a lot of the Miami guys tonight. How many minutes will Josh Richardson play? They said I don't think they said the limit. He's just going to be on a minutes limit. If you're going to make me guess, I would say 25, because I think he was playing like mid-30s minutes normally. So I would say 25 minutes. Bam, Whiteside are both. So I have Whiteside right now over Bam, but it's a really close call. I think you go with your gut in that situation. I don't feel great about like picking one over the other. Again, personally, I have Whiteside right now over Bam, but I think both are really good plays. I think you go with your gut there. Graham, Beal, Butler, Portis, Whiteside, Smith, MKG, Knox. What were Knox's minutes? 3.2. Ugh. You're not going to feel great about it, but if that's a GPP lineup, you could do it and just hope Knox gets you like 15 and hope MKG's in the rotation. I wonder what Trey's ownership will be. I think Trae Young is going to be under 10%. That's what I would say. Had Julius Randle swap for Biyombo to add Embiid. I would not. Wait, so you're saying swap Randle? I would keep Randle in. Any love for CJ? I think he's a pretty safe option. Again, CJ McCollum will have those big games, like 50 fantasy point games. Like it seems like 1 in every 5 games around there, like 20% of the time. So no issue if you want to go there. I think he's a safe option. We know he's going to get 35 plus minutes in a close game. So yeah, I think he stands out as a decent option. Rodney Hood injury pretty much secured Melo's job, right? He's playing mid-30s minutes. Justin Robinson was called up. He may get 10 minutes. Again, don't think we have to consider that. Nunn or Barton. I'm definitely going to go Nunn there. Again, I'm just really not high on the Denver-Philly game. Silva maybe 3K. Yeah, that's actually a good call. I think he's been getting some minutes here, right? Yeah, and maybe like Bam pulls the groin or something or gets in foul trouble. Maybe, but again, the 3K range, I can't feel good about anyone. Best value. It depends on what you define value, right? Like, if we're talking value in like the 5K range, then I like a lot of those Knicks. I think Nunn and Hero. I think Ish Smith. But if we get to like the cheap range of like 4.5K and below, there's really not a whole lot to like. Now, personally, the guys I would target would be Kelly O. I know the minutes are all over the place. He's been down the last couple of games, but I'm just hoping he gets like 25 minutes, and he's at a playable price. I think Kelly O and then Bobby Portis. Again, there's really not a whole lot you're going to feel great about here, but those would probably be my 2 preferred really cheap options. I don't want to go with the Knicks point guards. I don't want to go with the Atlanta Wings. There's too many guys playing minutes right now. Derrick Jones Jr. too. I think he's a viable option. He's not a super high usage guy, but at 3.6K, I think he's viable too. So that's kind of what I would look at. Yeah, I think it's Kelly O, it's Derrick Jones Jr., and it's Bobby Portis. But again, you really can't feel great about any of those guys. Those would just be the 3 that I would target. Let's see. Best. Oh yeah, Nunn or Bertans. I think. I'll take the savings on Nunn, but that's a close call. Got to pick some random sometimes. Yeah, Brown or Hunter. Again, I'm not really on the Atlanta guys. Or I got Troy Brown versus DeAndre Hunter. Let's see. It's just the Atlanta Wings are. It's such a bad spot. They have so many guys. I would take the shot on Troy Brown and hope he gets the high end of the minutes. Too much of the same lineup tied. 10K turns into $750. James Ennis or Mike Scott. Don't think we have to go either. Really don't. With everyone healthy now for Philly, a really bad spot. I'll go Ennis, I think, versus Mike Scott, but I will not be playing either of those guys tonight. Yeah, I'll go Ennis there, but I don't feel good about either. Barrett, Rozier, Bertans, Randall, Zeller, Smith, Morris, Butler. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good lineup. Anything sub 4,100. Yeah, so I talked about that, right? I think Kelly O is 41, Bobby Portis, and Derrick Jones Jr. Nunn or Ish. I think Ish. I think Ish is going to be more popular. So I think Ish is, I guess, the safer option. But if you want to get a little bit riskier, Nunn will be lower owned, and it's a good spot. So, yeah, that's a close call. I think Ish for cash games, maybe Nunn for GPPs. Who is MKG? Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He got in the rotation last time out with no Marvin Williams, played 23 minutes. If I knew Marvin Williams was going to get over 20 minutes tonight, I would definitely have some interest in here. But, again, I talked about it. The concern is these fringe guys, they could get a DNP CD. We saw it with Batum, who played 33 minutes the game against Brooklyn, and then the last game didn't even play. He was a healthy scratch. So that's the risk with targeting these fringe guys, is there's a chance they don't even play. But if MKG plays and gets 20-plus minutes, I think he's a good option. I just don't know if he's for sure going to play. Nunn, let's see. Nunn, Beal, Duncan, Bertans, Bam, Barrett, Mello-ish, GPP. Yeah, I like that. Elf will carry me to some money at low ownership, or I'm dead, LOL. So Elfrid Payton has flashed the upside in limited time. I think he had a pretty big game last time out, actually, in limited time. Maybe if he plays well, they extend him to 20-plus minutes, but I really just, it's a headache right now with those point guards. Thoughts: Rozier, Beal, Butler, Anthony, Biyombo, Barton, Morris, and Mahimi. Yeah, so you're taking some shots there right with Biyombo and Mahimi. Hopefully those guys can get you like 15 to 20. Barton's not a guy I'm super high on, but I don't mind the price, and then everything else looks good to me. How many minutes do you think Zeller gets? Yeah, so that's one where I think he gets somewhere between 20 to 25. I think it's a pretty safe projection. 23 and 21 the last couple of games. Again, no Marvin Williams. Maybe he gets a little bit more run, but they do have MKG they could use too. So I think 20 to 25 minutes at 4.6K, I think he's a decent option there. My lineup is as it stands. Nothing but Charlotte, Washington, and New York, Portland players. Don't mind that. I mean, you definitely are taking a risk fading all the Miami guys for sure. Like the Miami guys are in a really good spot, but if you're doing that, you're kind of banking on Miami blowing out Atlanta, which is definitely possible. So don't hate that idea. A few minutes to lock, get the lineups in right. MKG's Machine Gun Kelly. Wagner, still a nice play. He's a risky play. I think he's, just because the Mets have been a bit up and down, he's in the tier of guys like Rui, Bertans, PJ Washington, like Bazemore, who I think are all in play. I don't feel great about them, but those guys are viable options. Let's see. Anybody could come off the bench and bomb 20 points. Why we gamble, boys? Yep. Horford or Bertans. I'm going to go Bertans for sure there. If you're doing multiple lineups, is it okay to play Wagner and Bertans? Yeah, I think so. I don't think Bertans won't play a lot at the 5, right? They got Mahimi, they got Mo himself, and they got even Rui. I don't even think Bertans will ever play at the 5, so I don't think those minutes will really coincide, or they'll be a conflict to each other. So, yeah, you can play them both together. Whiteside, I do like Whiteside a good amount. My center position is often overlooked. My advice to y'all. Yep. Thoughts on Derek Jones Jr.? I think he's a viable option. He's a low-usage guy, but I think he gets around 25 minutes. And again, the slate lacks value plays, so don't mind taking a shot there. Trae Young, not for me. Just too expensive, and I just like other plays. If you're a guy that's making a lot of lineups for GBPs, you can throw him in there one. Ben Simmons would be the guy I would target on Philly, but again, I'm not playing anyone in that game. Biyombo or I'm done. I'll 800 for a starter. I couldn't resist. Yeah, don't hate it, right? If he gets like 20 minutes, he can definitely get you there, so don't mind that at all. Good luck, everyone. Marvin is out. Yep. Imagine playing bench players a shit ton by refusing to pay Kemba Walker. Yeah, exactly. RJ Barrett and Marcus Morris, Simons, Damian Dotson, I'm guessing, or Taj Gibson, Scala BCA. So between RJ Barrett and Marcus Morris, I'll give the edge to Marcus Morris slightly. Simons, Dotson, or Taj Gibson, and Scal. I really don't have. I'm guessing you're talking about Damian Dotson, right? So I'll go Taj and Scal, but I don't like those guys at all, really. Parker. Not really for me at that price. The price is okay. It's just I don't feel great about it. So not for me. Last one, Rui, Barrett, or Graham and Derek Jones Jr. I think the safer option is Rui and Barrett. If you want to get risky, you go Graham, Derek Jones Jr. and hope Derek Jones Jr. gets to like 20 because the upside is there for sure for Devontae Graham. Check this guy out, Video Man Pro. Thanks again, DK. Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, again, short 4-game slates. I wouldn't go crazy, guys. Again, I'm sticking to only GPPs on the small slates. Mitchell Robinson, you could do it. I like the other Knicks more with Randall, Barrett, and Marcus Morris. But, Mitchell Robinson, if he can stay out of foul trouble, does have upside. So it's a shot you can take for GPPs. Am I going to play him? No. What's the odds of Jabari semi-keeping Atlanta in the game and Baller locks up Trae? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Jabari has flash upside at 6.2K. It's just, it's not something I feel great about at that price. So there's a shot for sure. I don't think there's a good chance, but yeah, thanks DK. Yeah, of course, man. Thanks to everyone coming to check out the stream, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll stay live for another minute or so. We can go over some ownership. I can talk about the guys I played in the early games. So I played Rozier and Beal. We'll check out their ownerships and see what it looks like. Good luck, guys. Thank you, bro. Good luck tonight. Of course, man. Thanks again for coming to check out the stream, guys. Let's see. All right, let's look at the $44 I'm in. Again, I think Beal is going to be pretty high owned. Yep, Beal is 54%. Terry Rozier 6%. Exactly what I thought, right? The Charlotte guards are going to be low owned. I know Beal and Jimmy Butler are going to be the high owned guys. I took a shot. I'm fading Jimmy Butler. Don't feel great, but that's a stand I'm going with tonight. Let's see. Ish Smith is 38% owned. Kind of expected that, right? He stood out as a decent option. Miles Bridges at 37% is higher than I thought just because the minutes are all over the place for him. But if he hits that high end, I think he can get you there. Bertans at 10, Rui at 13, Devontae Graham at 15, right? So both those Charlotte guys are low owned. I know they're priced up, but you can't get a better spot than that. And let's see. I'm trying to find other people's lineup, see if anything else is sticking off the page here. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of like Beal and Ish. Those guys are pretty popular in the $40. Biyombo is 7%. Again, I don't hate it. You got to take some shots at some cheap guys. Let's see. That's kind of what I'm seeing in the $44. Let's take a look at the $10 tournament. Rozier 11%, Beal 43%, right? So kind of more than what I was expecting. Let's see. This guy's Mo Wagner. Let's see what his Mo 7%. Yeah, so basically kind of what I expected, right? Beal and Ish being the highest owned guy. Bridges a little bit higher owned than I thought, but if he hits that high end of the minutes, range, he can definitely get you there. Let's see. Nunn, Bazemore, Morris, Randall, Bam, Rozier, Barton, and Rui, I'm guessing that is. You think this is solid? Yeah, I think that's viable, right? You're fading both Beal and Jimmy Butler, which is definitely contrarian. Will Barton, not a guy I'm super high on, but I don't mind his price. Everything else is fine. So yeah, I think that's definitely viable. Bertan 17%, right? So with him, Mo Wagner, and Rui, I think one of those guys will probably have a big game. It was just I didn't have a great feeling which one it was going to be, so that's why I didn't play any of them. But yeah, Bridges 38% is surprisingly high. Yeah, I think that is a little bit high in my opinion. Now again, if he gets 35 minutes, I would not be surprised if he has a really good game. I just don't know if those minutes are necessarily secure from what we've seen in recent games. Beal 47%, that's crazy. Bridges with 47 DK last time against Washington. Good point, right? It's a really good spot for him. Monk with 1%. Again, he's probably going to get anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. Don't hate it, I guess. Ian Mahimi, anyone else play him? Yeah, so he's like 7% owned. Mahimi was. But yeah, that's basically it. So I think I'm going to hop off here, guys. Let's see what I think we got a pretty big slate for Wednesday at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. Yeah, so that'll be a good cash game slate for sure. I will have that video up later tonight, so be on the lookout for that. But thank you guys for coming to check out the stream. And yeah, if you don't follow me on Twitter, it is important. That is in the description below. I'll give my thoughts as we get any more news. Again, we're not really waiting on a whole lot of news tonight. But again, I really appreciate all you guys coming to check out the stream, and I will see you tomorrow.